morning, everyone. I'm Tien, Nguyen, and I'm a part of Global Dimensions of Businesses, Section 83. Today, I'm going to be covering the caste system versus class system. The main questions I'll be answering today are, what is a caste system, what is a class system, and what is the difference? I'll be providing examples of each as we go along through the presentation. The two key terms you'll have to know before getting into class and caste systems are social mobility and stratification. Social mobility refers to the extent to which individuals can move out of the strata into which they are born. Social mobility varies significantly from society to society. That said, stratification refers to the fact that society's hierarchies are made up of different levels, otherwise known as strata. In the image to the right, you'll see that the king is in the upper class, or the upper strata, whereas the peasants are in the lower class, the lowest of the strata. The gentleman outside of the hierarchy represents social mobility. He has the ability to move up or down strata dependent upon his decisions and his achievements. Let's begin with the caste system. A caste system is a closed system of stratification in which social position is determined by the family into which a person is born, and change in that position is usually not possible during an individual's lifetime. Often, a caste position carries with it a specific occupation. In the image to the right, you'll see that the man in the upper class is looking down at the man in the middle class, and they're both looking down at the farmer. The farmer is a prime case of being born into a caste position that carries with it a specific occupation. He knows that he's screwed because he'll be stuck as a farmer with no opportunity to move into the upper or middle class. Generally speaking, caste systems in the past were a part of societies ruled by a dictator or a king in a totalitarian government, although that's not always the case. Whenever I think of a caste system, I think of the historic European caste system known as feudalism. In feudalism, the king was in the upper class, followed by the nobles, then the knights, then the peasants. The peasants being a part of the lower strata meant that they had no political power and had very little buying power. Generally speaking, peasants were farmers, craftsmen, or low-level merchants. That said, above them were the knights. The knights would fight for the nobles and swore fealty to them, and in return received land, money, and a little bit of power. That said, the nobles had to swear fealty to the king. In return for their fealty, the king would call upon them during times of war and request taxes. All that said, let's move on to the class system. Americans should be a little bit more familiar with the class system because there's a class system in America. A class system is a less rigid form of social stratification in which social mobility is possible. It is a form of open stratification in which the position a person has by birth can be changed through his or her own achievements or luck. Individuals born into a class at the bottom of the hierarchy can work their way up. Conversely, individuals born into a class at the top of the hierarchy can slip down. In the image to the right, you'll see that a man is handing his riches to his son, and they're in the upper class, whereas one generation later, that same son hands his very own son a box of poverty because through poor luck he ended up in the lower class. Generally speaking, as societies with caste systems eventually evolved and became more progressive, they picked up a class system instead. Like I said, America is home to a class system. Members at the top of society can make mistakes and end up in the middle or lower class, and members in the lower class can get educated, get good jobs, and end up in the upper class. The way I see it, the main difference between a caste system and a class system has to do with social mobility. Caste systems have little to no social mobility, and if you're born into a lower level or lower strata, odds are you'll be stuck there for the rest of your life. Whereas in a class system, you'll have the ability to move up or down based on your own decisions. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please contact me at the email provided.